Well, where do I even begin today's daily market update? First of all, with perhaps welcoming you all to another video. We've got a lot to cover. Yesterday was a pretty horrific day for the cryptocurrency space. It's really bared the brunt of the tariffs that were announced on Friday by Trump, the 25% on Mexico and Canada. We've seen some progress there and a postponement of those tariffs and actually a willingness from both the Mexican and Canadian government to work with Trump on the issue he was levying the tariffs over. So we will be looking at that. There was the biggest ever liquidations, more than FTX, more than the March 2020 spill. Basically, the biggest liquidations ever took place yesterday. Well done, you guys survived it. I know you guys aren't ding-dongs because you watch this channel and ultimately don't trade with leverage, which we tell people absolutely all the time not to do. I think the price largely recovered yesterday, but it's come down a little bit today. And I think, again, that's people probably revenge trading more so than anything. But there's a lot that's came out over the past 24 hours. I think there's something very fishy about the liquidations that took place. And then we see some of the biggest ever buy-side volume for the likes of XRP, HBAR, some of the other big kind of American-based cryptos out there that we've seen. And then the likes of David Sachs, who of course is the crypto czar, comes out and says we're going to be holding a press conference at 2:30 p.m. ET time around digital assets. We'll be streaming that on the channel, guys, so do watch out for that. You get the likes of Eric Trump also tweeting about now's a good time to add some Ethereum. And then you get his dad, who of course is the president, actually signing a bill to enact an executive order to enact a strategic sovereign wealth fund. So there's a lot to get into, guys. If you're not already a subscriber, do become a subscriber to this channel. We'll keep you up to date on the news day in, day out. We'll piece it all together and we'll relate it to the macro kind of context of things. I think the best place for me to start is with progression around the tariffs. This is from Donald Trump. I just spoke with President Claudia of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation where she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agree to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President of Mexico as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. So we're getting progression. Really, Donald Trump is just leveraging these tariffs as a measure to get what he wants because he knows he can utterly destroy the Canadian. I mean, the Bank of Canada actually held an emergency meeting on the back end of this. And you had Trudeau. You know, I compared Trudeau picking a fight with Trump to me calling out John Jones. There is, even though I train, there's a 99.9% chance that I just get entirely obliterated. We'll say 100. It's just only going to go one way. And we also have news about Canada. Canada has agreed to ensure we have a secure northern border and to finally end the deadly scourge of drugs like fentanyl that have been pouring into our country, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. Yeah, big pharma, you know, they're licensed to do that, but stop it, Rupert. Killing hundreds of thousands of Americans while destroying their families and communities all across our country. Canada will implement their $1.3 billion border plan, and as per Prime Minister Trudeau, who's going to be out of here soon, the Canadian dollar collapsed. The dollar spiked up. This just leaned on everything on the back end of all those tariffs. And then there was fears of escalations. As always, our markets always climb a wall of worry, guys. Reinforce the border with new choppers, technology and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and willing to be working on protecting our border, or the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensuring 24/7 eyes on the border, et cetera, et cetera. As president, it's my responsibility to safety. And they're now pausing the tariffs for 30 days whilst they negotiate. So this is just basically Trump. No, thank you, CNBC. Playing his hand, you know, and why wouldn't he ultimately? You know, he's got the power. He's in the driving seat here. This really shook the markets up. Unfortunately, in the crypto space, we're very much a kind of plastic bag in the wind. If you look at the ramifications this had on the dollar, for example, we'll overlay the crypto charts. This is just the inverse. You know, you can see as the dollar sort of spiked, the crypto space sort of tanked. But this was an awful, you know, this was largely broadly erased on the back end of sort of the news, and also the crypto market largely recovered. I do think, to sort of segue here a little bit, it is rather fishy that we had this news, then this mass liquidation, and then we see all this buy side coming in and fundamental news towards the crypto space being positive. I think retail got absolutely wrecked yesterday. This is why we're so inflammatory about calling people ding-dongs that trade leverage in the cryptocurrency space. You're not a ding-dong if you make money, and you can prove that equation over time. I know that 99.9% of you guys can't. And I've watched some of the best traders I know try to do that and fail miserably. And I know for a fact, because I know a lot of these big Twitter accounts, it's smoke and mirrors. You know, it's like the guy that's juiced up to the hilts telling you how to get his physique. You know, although perhaps he's even better because at least he's got a good physique. These people, it's all just bravado and smoke and mirrors. But we're kind of getting a bit of progression in regards to economic. Bitcoin really kind of engulfed a lot of this. If you look at, let's say, the likes of XLM, which is one of my favorite altcoins, just completely engulfed this and ended up back in its range. And I think this was just a kind of retail shakeout, in my opinion. You know, we look at something like HBAR, look at this for a candle. But the markets are down today. I think all the uncertainty you've definitely got, because this is the mentality of traders. We've still got $500 million worth of liquidations that have taken place to both the short and the long side. I mean, stop it, guys. You only get liquidated if you use leverage. Stop playing around with it, because you're just losing money, and you're essentially feeding the smart money your money, and taking smart money or taking retail money and putting it into the hands of the more sort of institutional investor. I mean, you've got a lot of revenge trading that I think will be going on here. Coincidentally, on the back end of all of this, we had this break yesterday. And we're going to stream this. I think it's about 7:30 my time, so UK time, 8:30 European time, and obviously 2:30 p.m. US time or ET time. David Sachs, the crypto czar, Scott Bessett, Boozman, Hill, Thompson to host press conference on digital assets. This is today. President Trump's White House, AI and crypto czar David Sachs, Senate Banking Committee Tim Scott, Senate Agricultural Committee John Boozman, great name, House Financial Service Committee Chairman French Hill, and House Agricultural Committee Chairman G.T. Thompson will host a press conference tomorrow, Tuesday, February 4th at 2:30 p.m. That's a dentist's favourite time, ET, to discuss how the Trump administration and Congress will work together to secure America as a leader in digital asset ecosystem. So this is bullish. I'm smelling some really funny business going on here, guys. Also, interestingly, you had Eric Trump. This is from Eric Trump yesterday. In my opinion, it's a great time to add ETH. I wish they'd have me sort of directing them, and I could show them actually where the real innovation is with this space, and what distributed ledgers are actually capable of enabling the world that we're trying to move towards. And Hedera is not it. Why they're buying why they're buying Ethereum. They should be buying or looking towards the likes of Hedera, XRP, XLM. These fundamentally algos, chain links, these fundamentally transformational projects. Instead, they're sort of focused on, Ethereum, which doesn't make much sense to me. And I actually think we're going to see some of the ETFs that are coming. And again, isn't it interesting that the liquidations took place when we've got nearly 40 ETFs that are about to be approved, opening the floodgates? You're going to see, I believe, other altcoins outperform Ethereum in terms of ETF inflows. Mark my words on that. Also, yesterday, as if we haven't covered enough, we had President Trump sign an executive order. Let's actually dive over to that now, and then we'll proceed with the video.
This is an executive order. This charges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work, and I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together, I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds, and some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund, and I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund, and these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
Now, will there be a crypto element to all of that? We'll see. He mentions, there was a bad example I think put forwards there. I think people are kind of waking up to what was thrust upon us over the past, during 2020, 2021. I think people aren't buying that anymore. Anyway, we'll see what comes from all of this. We'll certainly see what David Sachs and the others have to say about the cryptocurrency space. Really, for me, predominantly, we've still got a lot of economic data to come out, certainly non-farm payroll. I'm watching the dollar. I want that Julian Bittle scenario for the dollar, which sees the same thing that we saw with Trump coming into office in 2017 taking place again. I think, why did he say to Jerome Powell, you've been at low interest rates? It's because he wants to use a weak dollar as a way to stimulate growth whilst creating this sovereign wealth fund and wealth for America. I truly do think, actually, I know there's always this kind of, something happens, everyone goes, okay, it's Trump dump, not Trump pump. I still personally think he's going to be good for markets, and we're going to see a prosperous time. That's just my own opinion. Tariffs are, if done in the way that they did with Mexico and Canada, very detrimental for everyone, but he's clearly just used that as a weapon to get what he wants. We'll see what happens with the markets today. I think really what you've got is revenge traders right now trying to get, something back. But really, Bitcoin's just trapped in this range. Eventually, it breaks through it and sees continuation to the upside, and that's very much in line with the broader trajectories and targets that we have. Guys, consider becoming a Patreon. A lot of people really panicked and struggled yesterday. We've got you. Not only do we have you on this channel, I also, it's days like yesterday where we make our money in terms of being that steady hand to sort of help simplify and understand things. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from me. I'm going to love and leave you. A lot going on. Do join me tonight at 7:30 UK time. It's 8:30 European time, or whatever time it is in America, 2:30 ET time, and we'll look at together what is going to be said or what's going to be spoken about during the crypto conference. So that's it from me. Will the wealth fund be mentioned? Will certain cryptos be mentioned? We'll see. Eric's sort of definitely backing Ethereum. I'm not sure why. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Have a smashing Tuesday, and I'll see you all soon.